Hi guys, I'm making this video today to explain my Instagram account and about something which has become quite important to me. Background information is that I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 10 and with anxiety when I was 14. I went to CAMHS, which is the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, to deal with that. My story starts off in mid-January, where I start going through spells of feeling quite low and quite anxious. I created an Instagram account to kind of get my feelings out there, and that's why the song lyrics is to kind of get more feelings out there. However, this didn't work and I got progressively worse. I then went on a holiday in mid-February where I felt I got better, but the truth is I didn't. The first week back, I started feeling worse and worse, and this was because I was falling behind in my work, which was making me feel more anxious. It was at this point that at the end of the week, I finally got the courage to go and speak to my school matron about it, and that proved to be really important. Next, on week 2, this was when I started going through my lowest points. Throughout this week, I only had one day where I didn't go through a period of feeling really low or anxious. I would feel depressed to the point I couldn't work. I would worry about my weight, my workload, and appearance, and what people thought of me, excessively. I felt hopeless, alone, isolated, worried, and anxious. Not all at the same time, but sometimes a lot of them at one time. I also felt sometimes that I was just a freak and I just wanted to hide. I really found it hard to talk about. Even to matron, who I was the first person I was able to speak to, I still found it hard to speak to her about it. I was at the point where I couldn't tell my friends what I was feeling. And because they didn't understand, my anxiety about my appearance and what people thought about me got worse and worse because I couldn't tell them how I felt. On the third week back, I started getting help. On Tuesday, I saw a school counsellor. On Thursday, I saw my GP. And on Saturday, I saw a psychiatrist. Throughout this whole week, I still felt alone and anxious. People started seeing my symptoms, but no one understood what was happening to me. Neither did I, though. I wasn't able to take a perspective as I would normally be able to. I couldn't see what was happening. It was honestly the hardest time of my life, as I really struggled to see that there was any light at the end of the tunnel. However, this story does have a happy ending. I went to the consultant, my psychiatrist, and we discovered that my medication had been altered by the chemist, which meant that it was a medication error, not my feeling, not me, which was good. However, even though my problems were a temporary thing caused by a wrong dosage of drugs, there's lots of people whose issues aren't temporary. Mental health affects 1 in 4 people across the UK each year. Mental health is different to physical illness because there's such a wide variety of mental health issues and such a wide variety of intensities of mental health issues. Common disorders are anxiety-related disorders, bipolar, depression, and eating disorders. These are all different to physical illnesses because their symptoms aren't always obvious and can be mistaken for little petty things when clearly they're not. And the biggest issue is the fact that actually mental health is a massive public black spot in knowledge. This makes it really hard for those suffering to get help, as those people around them don't recognise what's happening. Despite the fact that mental health illnesses affects anyone, 75% of mental health issues are established by the age of 24. In our society, there is a huge amount of pressure on young people. This comes in the form of work pressure. It also comes in social pressure, especially in this lad society that the men live in. An example of that is the fact that the Lad Bible, the Facebook webpage, has 23 million followers, which just epitomizes how many people go along with this society and culture. And this culture is very hard to kind of deal with mental health issues within, to the point where 3 out of 4 people would say they fear the reaction of their friends when talking about mental health issues. And it is true. They have every right to feel that way, because it is the hardest part of mental health issues, is talking. And to prove that, but however, mental health has become such a big issue in youth that the biggest killer of men under the age of 25 is suicide. Mental health in men is very different to mental health in women, in my opinion. Because in women, it's easier to talk about because they live in a culture where that is okay and that is socially acceptable. But men don't. Men live in the lad culture where there is a stigma for being weak. And mental illness is often misinterpreted for weakness. I mean, which is the biggest problem. Talking about mental health, is so important. It is really hard because of the society we live in, but it's so important. By talking about it, it becomes so much easier to notice when someone is starting to develop problems. This is important as it is the first stage to getting professional help. Talking to friends, family and people like teachers or colleagues about how you feel will give you the confidence to get professional help. And if you don't have the confidence, you can go, they will get the help for you. But it's not just talking, it's not just the people with the mental health talking, it's the fact that if everyone's talking about it, it becomes the norm, and then it becomes so much easier to talk about because it's normal. Talking about it alone is really important, and if we do it as a society, it's going to make so much difference. But it's not the only thing which is going to make a difference. Knowing what mental illness is and how it affects people is another massive thing. Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most important weapon, powerful weapon, which you can use to change the world." Knowing more about mental health and having a knowledge of what someone is going through makes such a difference. I mean, for example, if you have a close friend going through depression, and understanding what they're going through will make so much of a difference, because you can be there to help them when they can't help themselves. And then suddenly someone who would be normally alone, trapped in their mental illness, is suddenly not. And it's not that hard. It is also about getting rid of misunderstandings, like that mental health issues equals weakness, because it clearly doesn't. It's about breaking down those stigmas, because there is a stigma about mental health, and we've got to break it down to be able to help people. When someone is suffering from mental health, they fear speaking about it because they don't really know what people are going to react. By talking about it and talking about it and making it commonplace and knowing how someone's going to react about talking to mental health removes that fear, and it opens the pathway to talking, which is so important, because it's how you get help. Marie Curie once said, "Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood." Now is the time to understand more, so that we may fear less. Never has a quote been so true. It is time to start talking. It's time to start learning, so that we can understand and move out of the dark ages of mental health and into a new age where mental health is understood